This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Now at 11, another warm night here in central Indiana, but at least the rain has held off for the most part. Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Nicole Griffin in the tracking center with meteorologist Kyle Mounts. Kyle, I feel like people are really going to like your forecast this week.
Yeah, I think for the most part, you can put the umbrella away. You might need to turn on the lawn sprinklers, though, and water that lawn a little bit. You know, last hour we were holding on to 80 degrees, but we look at the big board and you can see we've dipped down into the upper 70s now, so it is still a warm night here in central Indiana. Still a little bit on the muggy side, too. That relative humidity close to 70%. We've got a northeast breeze, though, around 10 to 15 miles per hour, and that's gradually going to bring in some more comfortable air for us. Right now, 80 degrees for you in Bedford, 74 in Putnam County and Greencastle, Muncie at 75, and Richmond coming in the lower 70s this evening. There is a quiet scan on Storm Team 6 radar. We've got the satellite on here as well, but not picking up too much in the way of cloud cover. Partly cloudy to mostly clear skies for the overnight, and temperatures do get a little more comfortable, a little cooler here. Instead of lows around 70 degrees, we'll be into the middle 60s to start off your Monday morning with dry conditions. We'll talk about that break in the humidity coming our way, the limited rain chances over the next 7 days, and it's not going to be long before those 90s make a return in central Indiana.
Kyle, thank you. A developing story. Metro police are investigating a shooting that sent a girl to the hospital in critical condition. Around 2:30 this afternoon, officers responded to a call of shots fired in the 8300 block of Meadowlark Drive. That's on the east side near Pendleton Pike and Franklin Road. They found a girl injured and rushed her to the hospital in critical but stable condition. Police have not released the identity of the victim or any possible suspects. Metro police say a man who was shot in June died Saturday from his injuries. The shooting happened on June 20th near West 29th Street and Barnes Avenue. 25-year-old Roderick Shanks was one of two people shot that morning. He was in critical condition for the last several weeks but died on Saturday. 23-year-old Aaron Cooper also died as a result of his injuries. Tonight, a woman is in the hospital and a man is dead after a stabbing on the west side. Police were called to Chapelwood Boulevard on reports of a disturbance around 3:45 this morning. That's near 10th Street and Girls School Road. When first responders arrived, they found two people suffering from stab wounds. The woman was taken to the hospital in stable condition, but the man died from his injuries. Police are asking anyone with information on this case to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 317-262-TIPS. Shelbyville police are hoping to identify a man and woman who attempted to aggressively sell cosmetics to a woman at Walmart. These are photos of the two people. Police say the man handed a woman shopping in the store a pink for her bag and told her it was $20. When she refused to buy it, police say he became aggressive. The woman was then in another section of the store when a woman with a similar pitch came up trying to also sell the bag. Shelbyville police want people to be aware that these two are approaching women and they could have bad intentions. They were seen in a silver car, late model car with a white rabbit sticker on the back. If you know who they are, contact police. More images from that second powerful earthquake to hit Southern California this week. Security camera captures the moment the 7.1 earthquake hit Ridgecrest, California on Friday. In the first video, you can see vehicles shaking and a cat run frantically by the camera. In the second video, water splashes out of the pool as a ceiling fan on the patio shakes. Tonight, residents are still on high alert, facing the possibility of aftershocks. More now from ABC's Megan Tavrizin.
Communities still rattled after thousands of aftershocks hit a region already rocked by the two strongest quakes to hit California in 20 years. Those violent tremors igniting fires and destroying homes. This woman struggling to get up during this severe shaking.
My ceiling is cracked halfway through. I have a crack going up my wall, so it's just not safe for us to go home. So at this point, I'm just home.
The epicenter of Friday's quake in isolated Kern County, 11 miles from Thursday's 6.4 tremor, but felt as far away as Nevada and even Mexico.
Walking down these neighborhood streets, you get a good sense of the impact these earthquakes have had on this small community. Look at this home, completely destroyed and everything inside ruined. A fish tank, a furnace, a chair, even the mattress destroyed.
And everything is fully engulfed. We were flashing with the hoses and everything, and then the fire department came in and took over. and I just went in and cried.
Authorities calling it a miracle that no one died, but urging residents to prepare.
Stock up. And what we want you to stock up on is the same things that you purchase every time you go to the market. Buy some bottled water, buy 2 cases, 1 case that you're consuming and 1 case that's in reserve.
As the aftershocks continue, first responders also preparing with extra supplies, but hoping they don't need them. Megan Tabrizian, ABC News, Ridgecrest, California.
The Indiana Pacers roster this season will look much different than what fans saw on the court last season. The Pacers held a press conference this afternoon to announce the signing of Jeremy Lamb and TJ Warren. Lamb is coming off a career-high season with Charlotte, where he averaged 15 points and 5 rebounds. The Pacers got TJ Warren from Phoenix as part of a 3-team deal. He was the Suns' leading scorer last season with 18 points and 4 rebounds. The Pacers say the new players provide a balance of youth and experience.
I'm excited, very appreciative them training for me. I'm excited to get to work, and I'm just eager to get out there and start playing.
Whatever my role is, I'm gonna just give it all I got, to go out there and win, because that's the #1 goal.
We'll set that foundation, and then we're building on that, adding, TJ and Jeremy to the roster. These guys can flat out play.
Coach Nate McMillan says he's ready to push the players, saying we need players that can score. Another press conference will be held tomorrow with the Pacers' new point guard, Malcolm Brogdon. New at 11, Indiana native Justin Haley raced his way into the history books with his first NASCAR Cup win at Daytona today. The 20-year-old rookie was leading when lightning halted the Coke Zero Sugar 400 with 33 laps left. A soaking rain followed after a lengthy lightning delay, forcing NASCAR to call the race and giving Haley the win. Haley becomes the second youngest winner in Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series history. Haley is from Winamac, Indiana. He grew up racing quarter midgets in Kokomo.
I convinced my mom to let me get a quarter midget. At first, she said, as long as you can convince your stepdad to do it, then y'all can have fun. And that wasn't too hard of a convince, being he's a gearhead himself. So without them two, my stepdad and my mom, obviously this wouldn't have been possible, and everyone else in my family for believing in me and giving me faith.
The Coke Zero Sugar 400 was the final July race at Daytona. This race date moves to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway next year. The U.S. women's soccer team dominated in its 2-0 World Cup final victory over the Netherlands. And yet its players still aren't paid as much as America's male players. Here's ABC's Will Reed with the highlights of the game.
The U.S. women's national team celebrating on the field after proving their dominance at the 2019 World Cup. The 2-0 victory in Lyon, France marks the 4th world title for the U.S. women and the 2nd in a row following the team's 2015 win. The game scoreless throughout the first half before co-captain Megan Rapinoe scored the first goal of the game with a penalty kick in the 61st minute. Go! U.S. wins! Then 8 minutes later, Rose Lavelle scoring a 2nd goal for the team.
You could tell the second she wound up for that was going in. That was just what a moment for her.
Both players back on the field Sunday after suffering hamstring injuries that sidelined them during the semifinals. Rapinoe receiving a standing ovation from U.S. fans as she came off the field near the end of the game. Back here at home, fans gathered at screening parties all across the country.
Unbelievable to watch. Really proud.
Team manager Jill Ellis remains undefeated at the World Cup, becoming the first manager to win the tournament twice. FIFA recently announcing they doubled the women's prize money to $60 million. But that's still far less than the $440 million for the men's prize. In light of today's win, calls to close that pay gap are likely to grow. Will Reeve, ABC News, New York.
And take a look at this crowd in Carmel. Dozens of fans gathered in Midtown at the Plaza to watch the World Cup Championship on the big screen. This was one of 3 watch parties that Indy 11 players were at today. The other 2 were in Broad Ripple and downtown at the City Market. Coming up, President Trump's approval rating reaches an all-time high, but other numbers suggest a second term is not a foregone conclusion. A happy beginning that already has a happy ending. We're there as a man who inadvertently captured a special moment gets to share the joy with a newly engaged couple. Kyle.
And just about time to head back into the work week after a long holiday weekend for a lot of us. As you get ready to head out the door in the morning, it will be mild and dry. Those temperatures already back in the 70s by 8 a.m. I'll let you know when the 90s return. You're watching RTV6 News at 11.
Toyota, let's go places. This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be speaking in Indianapolis next week. She will headline the Young Democrats of America convention on July 19th. Pelosi will speak at 7 p.m. during the general session. South Bend Mayor and 2020 presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg will also speak at the event. More than 1,000 people are expected to attend the convention that runs from July 17th to July 20th. The latest ABC News Washington Post poll shows the president with the highest job approval rating over the past 2.5 years. But nearly 2/3 of those polled say the president has not acted presidential. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott with a look at some of the numbers from that poll.
Bolstered by a strong economy, President Trump seeing the highest approval ratings of his presidency in the latest ABC News Washington Post poll. 44% of Americans approve of the job the president is doing, but still 53% disapprove. And an even greater number, 65% of those polled say the president has acted unpresidential. Former Vice President Joe Biden is the only one with a clear advantage over the president among registered voters, ahead by 10 points. 53% for Biden, 43% for the president.
He's the bully that I knew my whole life. He's the bully that I've always stood up to. I think the American people want a president who has some dignity, who has a value set, who is actually trying to restore the soul of this country.
The poll also touched on immigration, with 80% of Americans saying it will be an important issue in the 2020 vote. Just 40% approve of how the president is handling immigration. A report last week from the Inspector General is calling on the Department of Homeland Security to address overcrowding at detention centers.
This is an extraordinarily challenging situation. We had an overflow situation with hundreds of children crossing every day. That's why we were asking for funding for Health and Human Services.
Pictures in that report have many Democrats calling for change at the southern border.
You make sure you're not separating parents from their kids, something I would do in my first 100 days as president, and then you bring in comprehensive immigration reform.
Rachel Scott, ABC News, Berkeley Heights, New Jersey.
An update tonight on that viral photo of a couple getting engaged while a photographer snapped photos of fireworks in Carmel. The photographer posting the image on social media asking for help finding the couple. Well, we were there today as they shared their story and met for the first time.
I thought I'd just take a shot at coming out here and trying to get the fireworks are always going to provide a good picture.
Tyler Huffman found a spot on the Monon, watching the fireworks and capturing this image on 4th of July.
It's gotten hundreds of shares and comments and likes, and it's made its way around to just about every corner of Facebook probably at this point.
He posted the picture to social media asking for help finding the couple in the picture. The man was down on one knee, proposing to his girlfriend.
It's lucky that he stopped where he did and picked the spot he did, and I happened to be standing where I was.
We had no idea there was a photographer there.
That couple in the photo is Brad Ryder and Wendy Albrecht. The two started receiving phone calls telling them Tyler was trying to find them and share this beautiful picture.
Started getting text messages and phone calls from friends, and this thing had gone viral, and we had no idea whatsoever.
Had no idea.
The two have been dating since 2011. They actually were already engaged before July 4th, but they haven't set a date. Brad took the opportunity to remind Wendy that night just how much she means to him.
It was such a beautiful evening. The fireworks were going off, and it was a spontaneous moment. I wanted to remind her how much I loved her and how much I still wanted to marry her, and so I dropped to my knee.
It was just in the moment. We were alone. It was beautiful. It was such a beautiful night.
And the beautiful moment is one they will now have memory of forever. Now it's time to set a date.
Maybe we should do it now, July 4th, 2020, right here on the Mona where it all happened.
I think I'll stick with the beach wedding.
What an awesome story. Well, Brad and Wendy found out they lived just a few doors away from Tyler in the same apartment complex. The two had lunch today, and they thanked him for the beautiful photo, one that they will now cherish forever. Kyle, it's so great to see this all unfolding. We've been following this story since Friday, so.
Yeah, and I think they've got a photographer for the wedding if they want one.
A good one,
yeah,
too.
And yeah, if we're going to work on that forecast here a little bit over the next couple of days, still going to be on the warm side, but we're going to notice some changes. We'll take you through the forecast here. 79 right now in downtown and Bloomington. Kokomo coming in at 75 degrees here. We've got a little bit of that north and northeast breeze at 12 miles per hour right now in Indianapolis. Storm Team 6 radar is nice and quiet. Will stay that way tonight and really the next couple of days because this area of high pressure over the Great Lakes is going to be influencing our weather. That brings in that northeast breeze that we have, and it will eventually lead to some more comfortable, less humid air. And tonight we start to see some of the evidence of that working in with temperatures into the middle 60s for you in Lafayette at 64, 62 in Peru, and 66 in Indianapolis. So let's check out the muggy meter here for you. It takes a nice dip as we go into tomorrow afternoon. It will come back here a little bit for the middle of the week, but then notice as we get into Thursday and Friday, another shot of some refreshing air is going to be moving in. Let's check out your Monday forecast. Take you hour by hour here, and lots of sunshine in the forecast tomorrow. If you're planning any time outdoors, make sure you got that sunscreen. Not going to take too long for a sunburn. We've got 78 for you at 11 a.m. Those temperatures will make their way into the lower and middle 80s for that afternoon high with the northeast breeze. So it is going to be a seasonal day for us, and temperatures that will top out at 86 in Bloomington, 85 degrees in Muncie. But we aren't going to have too much of a heat index because of that lower humidity that's going to be around. If you need to get the car washed, really pretty good weather for that here the next couple of days. Mostly sunny and dry Monday and Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, that's when we'll get that chance for a few thunderstorms back in the forecast. It's also when the heat returns. We'll get back into the upper 80s here for you on Tuesday. Back around 90 degrees. Could be our 7th 90-degree day of the year so far here as we get toward the middle of the week, and then a little bit cooler by Thursday at 85 degrees. So more on this rain chance here, and really it's the best chance of rain over the next 7 days on TrueCast. 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, still dry. So much of Wednesday is going to be a dry day, I think, for us. As we get into the evening hours, we start to see a little bit of that rain moving through here into the overnight, but should kind of fall apart as we get into early Thursday. That said, our rain chance is only about 30%, so not everyone's going to pick up on the rainfall here. And your 7-day planning forecast shows that other than that, it's pretty much going to be a dry forecast with those warmer temperatures. Numbers that will make their way close to 90 degrees here on Wednesday, middle 80s for the end of the week. So we talked about that. Humidity will dip a little bit once again for Thursday and Friday, but next weekend is going to be a little toasty as well. We'll keep the dry theme going here, but temperatures making their way back to 90 for that afternoon high.
You have tomorrow off, right? Tomorrow.
I do. Yeah.
We have nice weather for our days off.
Nice weekend for us. But yeah, everybody else who might be heading back to work, it's going to be dry, just a little on the warm side.
And at least not as humid, right?
Yeah, that is going to be a big difference, big help.
All right, looks good. Thank you, Kyle. Well, shelter animals and workers need your help and kindness. What you can do to help ease a burden and perhaps find yourself a new family member.
The Ashley Home Store, now open in Whitestown.
If you love animals, take a little time to be kind. That is the message of a new campaign launched by Spay Neuter Services of Indiana. It's called July Acts of Kindness. All you have to do is something nice for an animal, shelter dog or cat. You can take an animal for a walk, foster for a day, adopt, buy a spay and neuter license plate, or even share a post on social media.
People don't realize the power that social media has, and we see it all around us. If you share a post of an animal, it might reach the right person at the right time, and one animal out of a shelter saves the spot for another animal coming into the shelter. So you're truly saving a life by just advocating.
Spay Neuter Services of Indiana says you can also donate money or supplies to a shelter, or even just say thank you to the people who work there. Just make sure you share your acts of kindness and include the hashtag July Acts of Kindness. Hiring Hoosiers is an RTV6 initiative looking to match you with jobs and career resources. The Indiana State Police Capitol Police section is now accepting applications. Applications must be received via online submission by 11:59 p.m. this Wednesday, July 10th. Applications received after the deadline will not be accepted. Here are the basic requirements for a Capitol Police officer. You must be a U.S. citizen and you must be 21 years of age, at least 21 years of age. You must meet a minimum vision standard of 20/50 in each eye. You must have a valid driver's license and you must be a high school graduate. The starting salary for a Capitol Police officer is just under $45,000 a year. Also this week, a big job fair will be happening and it will be held at the Grand Hall at the State Fairgrounds from 10 until 2 on Wednesday. Several companies will be there, including Hera Hoosiers Park, Indiana Grand Racing and Casino, Raytheon, and United Health Group. Be sure to bring your resume to the event. We'll be right back here with a final check of your forecast.
RTV6 is working for you.
Don't forget, ABC's Shark Tank is coming to Indianapolis. You can pitch your idea to producers at an open call on July 16th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Doors open at 6 a.m. We have more information on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. Good beer comes from great water. Now breweries around the country are leading the charge to save more H2O while keeping the same great taste. Annie Taylor visited the third largest brewery, taking on water conservation 1 barrel at a time.
Coors Banquet has always been brewed with pure Rocky Mountain water.
Miller Coors, the Rocky Mountain beer.
We collect a lot of snow throughout the winter. That snow is now melting and flowing down Clear Creek.
In the midst of summer, the rushing water from Clear Creek is used not only by Miller Coors to brew beer, but by the entire city of Denver.
Being a large brewery in a metropolitan area, it's our responsibility, being a good corporate citizen, to make sure that we use water most efficiently so that as the Denver area grows, there's available water for other people.
They brew 10 million barrels of beer a year. That's a lot of Rocky Mountain water.
So our current water use is approximately just below 3 barrels of water used for every barrel of beer produced.
Beer is 90 to 95% water, so that amount being used is pretty good, considering it usually takes about 5 to 6 barrels of water per every barrel of beer. Ben Moline with Miller Coors says it's easy for breweries to waste water, a big way being
overfilling tanks where you're spilling water into the brewery.
Since the 1950s, Miller Coors has been leading the way in water conservation.
We do that by tracking water throughout the entire brewery. We make sure that we're not wasting water or we're spilling water, and we make sure that we recover as much water as we can and return it back into the Clear Creek system.
What people don't realize, a majority of American breweries share the same water as the rest of their surrounding communities. So when there's a drought like there was in 2015 in California, breweries there experienced a major hit.
Coors has to make sure that the citizens in those cities have the water that they need, and that's what these reservoirs really help us do, is to get through those times when Clear Creek is low flowing.
If Colorado experienced a drought, Coors could continue brewing for 3 years by pulling water from these reservoirs.
We're working together to try to make beer as sustainable as possible.
Ben says there's a great demand for sustainable beer. The competition among breweries across the country to use less water is heating up.
Without great water, we can't brew great beer.
I'm Annie Taylor reporting.
Very interesting, and not a whole lot of water in our 7-day forecast here. The next couple of days are going to be dry with that lower humidity. Best chance of rain, and it's only 30%, Nicole, comes our way on Wednesday.
Loving the look of that 7-day. Good week to get outside. Thank you, Kyle, and thank you for joining us. Have a great night.